G'day mate, glad to have you back. Now I've had a question, it's a good question, and when you've been playing with saws for a while, you think basically you start knowing everything, but the simple things in life that you overlook, other people struggle with, and I struggled with this when I first found out too. Now, the question was an SX82, that's the same as 92, same size motor. There is one difference, but I don't know if it's the same as all of it. Now the question was the pulse line and fuel line on these saws. So I thought I'd do a bit of talk. This is a copy of the saw. This saw had what do you call it, a radiator hose clamp around the intake there. And I thought it didn't look right and there was a slight crack, so I thought I'll pull it off. I don't know, I'm not a this is a clone of a Husqvarna 372. I'm not really a Husqvarna builder, but I've been playing around with these for a while. They're sort of my come-to favourite sort of saw lately. I don't know if you can pull off the boot without pulling the cylinder off. I'm pretty sure it's a cylinder off job, but I managed to get it out. I've been pulling this plastic tray and all that, but we're getting off top of it. Now, this should fit on the intake like that. And there's a hose coming out there, which goes through the boot. Down here, I should film that. So hose, hole, it should be a good quality rubber hose or a good quality fuel line hose. Now I've used yellow hoses and they melt in heat. That's quite a hot area. So I'd put a bit of high temperature wrap around that area. But it's not too bad for Husqvarna's. They're further towards the block, so you might get away with just normal fuel line, which is that yellow stuff like that. That's a small one, but the right size. I think it's 3mm. So we'll go. We'll talk about where it goes. That line there. So where the butterfly for your revving. So that part there, it revs. That's your cable goes. That's your pulse line. Now the pulse line operates a fuel pump, and the fuel pump's in there. There's two bits of diaphragms in there. I should have got them out and showed them too. They'll take much too much around. But that's where the pulse line goes. And the line down here is your fuel line. Yep, so there's my fuel line there. It's cracked too. So I'm waiting for rubber hosing myself from Greece. But they lost it in the mail, thank goodness. So that's how it goes on. That's how they look. So there's the same carby, same saw. This one's got a big box, so same carby, same saw. So you can see there's the pulse line. Well, this is for Jamie to hit. Cheers, Jamie, for the question. The line goes through, connects up to that part there, and that's your fuel line from your tank. So you see these saws were made for just enough fuel line, no extra. So if you cut it, because it says splits here, which they do because they don't like bending. This one's bent. There's the end of the copper line or brass pipe there. So if you want to replace the line, that hose there is, I would say, is a breather hose. So as your fuel tank expands, if it's sitting still, air escapes without pumping fuel. So even if you go sideways to cut a tree down, fuel doesn't run out. That's what that's for. So choke goes to there. There's the lever for your choke. Pull that. So you can see that. It just focus. It just clicks in. That's simple. I often forget to put my boot back on. And this particular boot, I can't adjust the carby. One of the holes must be blocked up. I have to pull off and investigate. But that's how these carbies go on. I hope that explains to you, Jamie. So you got your, look at that carby again. There's your diaphragm for your fuel pump. So it's flat. And one of the other parts is basically the full diaphragm. This little puddle that goes up and down. Oh, I might be able to find one. Hang on, guys. Hang on, I'll pause. That's what I'll do. I've got pause now. Alright, I'm back. Now that's the carby. So notice the top's flat. Some carbies have a breather hold still, so they have a breather going up the top. There's all different types, but this is basically look for. So when you're under that screw, you'll find this is a carby kit. I just pulled apart my teeth and pulled apart and didn't want to come up. That's the diaphragm for part of that carby. That's the needle and seat, so it's a metering diaphragm. So that meters how much fuel comes into the carby. If you get too much, that might be not set right in the needle in the seat. There's no needle in the seat here. That there is the gasket for your fuel pump side. That's the gasket there for your fuel pump. And you'll find that part there, the biggest part, which will sit like that. Pulse line pushes against that, and that pumps the fuel into your carby using these two valves. And that's how fuel gets around your carby. So when you pull over 3-4 times, that's pumping fuel through to make it work. Then that meters how much is going in, and if everything's right and there's no air leaks, then your saw runs correctly. So you got that. So that hose there, in there, will go here. That goes from there across into the carby. So the one closest to the carby, next one along, that's your fuel line. Hook up the accelerator. So the accelerator's quite easy. You just push it forward like that. Should come off. So it comes off like that. Just push it again forward. Push it in. That locks it back in. I think. No, I miss. Guys, it's very hard to do this in one end. Right. Are we in? Not yet. Yeah, now we're in. So, from that to now we're in, okay? Now, if you want to look at carbies, if you do another saw, if you get addicted to this, because it is really addictive. Here's another carby off a saw. That there's your pulse line. There's no hose. That goes into your saw, and the pulse line goes into that. That pumps the fuel. This one here is your fuel line, and that's the return. So that'll be connected to a primer button one, I'd say. So it sucks fuel through there. So it'll go down to your fuel tank, fuel primer bowl, to that, then return it down here. So that type there. This one here is more of a simple type. There's your pulse line on top, so the flat top there. This is where the pulse line goes to that. Fuel lines again halfway up the body of the motor. So if you notice this, there's holes here. That one there can be drilled out if you have a flat top without this, or you can block this off, or pull this out and block it off. So it will work again like that. Another carby. This one's in the pulse line at the front like that. So you see a fuel line there. So again, halfway sort of along where the carby is. Extra screws are extra long this one. So you got that one. Then you got this one here, pulse line at the front again, primer at the bottom, and it's got two fuel lines because one's an in and that one's an out, so it pumps it through. But I hope that explains it for you. I didn't realise. I thought this diaphragm here was a fuel pump for years, but it's not. It's one that meters about the needle and seat to let the fuel in, which is usually, yeah, oh, it's on that part there. On that. It's in there. That sits in there. So can't remember now. I think it's. I know you go. Well, all these questions you just do it automatically. I think the diaphragm goes down first, then your gasket on top. I'm pretty sure. So just pay attention to when you pull it apart, and that's how it goes. And basically, it goes like that on all the saws. But yeah, I hope that explains it for you, Jamie. And good question. I keep the questions up because you forget when you learn these things, and when you start playing around with timing and porting and that, you just automatically do what you do. But sometimes, you need to sit back and go, what are guys missing and what do guys want to know? Anyway, I'm open to questions, guys. Thanks for watching.